have a very special guest with me today, Eric Robinson of Reflectionz By Eric Detailing. And what we're going to do with this episode, instead of showing you how to work on a car, we're actually going to tackle the topic of what is it like to start up your own detailing business, whether it's mobile or in a fixed location. When you look at a business, if someone decides, I'm not really the kind of person that wants to take orders and work for another company, I want to start my own business, there's a lot of different opportunities you could go into. Okay. I would use the example like a franchise for Kentucky Fried Chicken, or a pizza parlor, sandwich shop. There's just a lot of opportunities out there. But a lot of us take a lot of large contributions of money up front to get them started and get them off the ground. Where in the detailing world, at least at this point, because there's so little rules and regulations, virtually a guy can get a wash bucket and a wash mitt and he's in business.
That's the truth.
Now, we know how scary those guys can be.
Oh, yeah.
They create a lot of work for us. But,
to keep us going.
But that's how simple it is to get started. And, a long time ago, one of my friends, he shared he said something that was funny. And the reason it was funny is because it was true. He said, Mike, when a guy loses his job, the next day he's either in lawn care or detailing. Yeah. And I thought, he's got a lawnmower, or he's got a wash bucket and a buffer. So with the detailing industry, it's always going to be a lot less expensive to start out mobile because you've got no fixed overhead. You don't got electric bill, utilities, shop lease, insurance. Yep. But at the same time, and I know you've experienced this, you spend a lot of time on the road. I had a lot of friends that were mobile detailers out in California, in the Los Angeles area. Yep. And their biggest complaint was the traffic. You think, well, I'm going to go do a job that's 5 hours, but you spend 2 hours getting there and 2 hours getting out of there. So there's always the downside of being mobile, whereas a fixed location, if the customers bring you the car, then you're not on the road, obviously. Yep. To get started here, I've kind of just written down some questions, and let's just kind of go through them. So why or how did you first get started into detailing? I think you shared maybe your dad was into it.
Yeah. So I grew up with my dad. He was very picky with all the vehicles, big car guy, cars, motorcycles, boats, all that stuff. So I kind of grew up with it. Grew up with him telling me, "Oh, don't touch that, don't touch this. Keep your hands." So don't touch this. It worked out. So all in all, I kind of fell into it in a sense, So how he was with me, I turned out worse than him. Uh-huh. So like I said, I see way more than him now. I kind of just fell into it, really.
So you're a lot more OCD than he ever was.
Yeah. I see stuff. I point stuff out to him nowadays.
So you got the disease.
Oh yeah, a little worse than that.
Yeah. What age would you say that you started gravitating into? Maybe like I started out detailing mom and dad's cars. I'm sure a lot of detailers started out that way, or your own car. But what age do you think it was when you started to go, this is kind of the direction I want to go, and you started looking at this as a business and doing it for, clients?
Okay, so it was a little bit later. I worked at car washes growing up, all that stuff. I worked for a mobile guy doing some mobile work. But I would say probably it was late for me, probably late 20s, maybe mid 20s, 25, so it started late to actually say like, okay, actually, I'm actually really good at this, so I can make something out of it. Yeah. So I started doing it part-time from there.
Gotcha. And in context, late 20s is be young to me.
Yeah. I feel old now, so.
I don't mean to interject, but what did you do before detailing?
Yeah. Before detailing, actually, my dad owns a tree business, so I ran his tree trimming company, and I absolutely hated it.
Lawn care.
Yeah. It is, right?
Lawn care. Either lawn care or your detailer.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I always like to ask this question, but out of all the cars you've detailed, and I'm sure it's a really wide spectrum, is there any one that really stands out there like, God, I finally got to work on my dream car, or something that's rare, one of one, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've done a couple of one-of-one cars. The F88 we did last year, we spoke about briefly. Some one-off Ferraris before, but I'm leaning towards some of the antiques because I'm still learning the antiques myself, the history behind them. So that's kind of what's grabbing my attention. I grew up in the modern age, so I grew up with all the modern vehicles, still now. So to me, that stuff, LaFerraris, love them, great looking vehicles, beautiful piece of art. Yeah. But I'm leaning towards the antiques.
The classics, street rods, muscle cars?
Muscle cars, even pre-war. Yeah, pre-war. Stuff like that. If you look back at some of those vehicles and the detail they had into them and stuff they came up with, that long ago.
And I'm just the opposite. I do not like working on things like the Durants or the vintage Cadillacs. They're big, they're ornate, they're complicated. A lot of times they got gold leaf pinstriping, a lot of metal polishing work. They're just complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great to consider it a challenge, but I always joke my favorite car to buff out is like a 69 Chevelle. And if you think about it, it's just big,
it's just flat.
big flat panels, kind of gentle curve, no plastic trim, chrome. You run the buffer over the chrome. So, but that's kind of cool. I think if I had to choose one, it'd be the Batmobile, the 1966 Batmobile.
Yeah.
There's one out in California. I think I've detailed it 3 times. And the guy that owns it's an incredibly talented guy. He built it from scratch. He got the molds pulled off the original molds that Chuck Barris made from a guy that owns them in Canada, and he built everything else. But the guy cannot touch paint to save his life. I might as well just give him a SOS Brillo pad and tell him to wash his car because the results are going to be the same. What would you say is the most difficult hurdle you had to overcome when you're starting either your mobile or your fixed location?
So the most difficult part is basically the initial startup. And when I say that is people questioning you, doubting you in a sense, like, hey, are you sure you're going to wash cars? But they don't see what I see. So I'm looking at the bigger picture. They see it as a car wash guy, right? Yeah. So it's a lot of doubt, a lot of, just negative attitude towards it. Yeah. But once you overcome that, you're good to go for the most part. If you see it, run with it, Other than that, another difficult hurdle is growth.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Yeah.
You go from mobile to this to that to, what's your next step and how do you make that step?
Yeah. I think even today, if someone says, what do you do for a living? And I say, well, I detail cars. Sometimes I feel like, oh, that's all I do. I just detail cars, but I work on some pretty cool cars. But I do a lot more than that. Like I'm more into the content creation and that kind of thing, which, takes some real talent to do. But
let me know when you have some.
Yeah, but detailing cars, it's one of those things where, for a lot of people, it's not a must-have; it's a want-to-have. They don't want to detail their car; they want someone that knows what they're doing. And I'm sure you've run into a lot of people that have tried the cheap guy, and then they come find you.
Oh yeah.
And you got to do someone's work over. So once somebody finds somebody that knows what they're doing, they usually tend to stick with them.
Yes.
And anytime they go away, they usually end up regretting it. So it's a valuable surface to be able to take somebody's car in neglected condition and restore it back to better than factory new condition and earn that customer's trust.
Of course.
And it's a talent, it's a skill. And I always tell people it's not a grinding process, like step 1, step 2. We bring the human elements of care and passion. Like I'm sure that you're like me, you mentally kind of adopt the car as your own and you treat it like it's your own.
Of course.
And then the results always come out fabulous versus, a lot of people that get a job, say, at a detail shop or in a car wash lot, that kind of thing. They're just there to pick a check up.
Exactly.
And they just really don't care what they're doing. They drop the mitt and wash the car and scratch up. They don't care.
Yep.
It's a weekly paycheck to them. Okay, pricing and competition. So one of my friends, he's up in Fort Pierce. He called me up the other day ago and he says, Mike, I've been having a hard time staying busy detailing cars. And he says, in the last year, there's been 32 new detailing businesses that have started up within 20 miles of me.
Sounds about right.
And again, remember we went through COVID.
Yes.
A lot of people transitioned out of their job and then they started a detailing business. So there's a lot of competition, and that just makes it, you gotta work harder to promote your business, and then you got to compete with the low end guys, and hopefully you're in the high end, But how have you had to deal with that, or what have you seen the changes since COVID?
Since COVID, some people they were spending money back then, so pricing was never really an issue for me. You got a quality job, and there's a market for everybody. If you want to do a $20 car wash, there's plenty of people that would love to have you do a $20 car wash. If you're doing a $150 car wash, there's plenty of people for that. So it's just, I learned to stay in my lane. I'm not the most expensive, and I'm not the cheapest. But I do the quality work. So the pricing and competition, I don't really look at everybody as competition, really. I don't. See, I do my stuff. If I'm too focused on competition, then I'm not going nowhere with myself.
And in the big picture, and this is where in the greater car detailing community, a lot of times you'll see guys that are real mature and they'll point out, hey, there's a lot of cars out there. You don't have to worry about not having enough cars. The real thing starts with just doing a good job first and building up a good reputation, get that word of mouth going for you. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was that during COVID, and this is just a few years ago, it seems like it's forever ago, but a whole new industry started up, and that was sanitizing cars.
Yes.
Everybody's worried about the germs. You trade a car in, you don't want to touch the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah.
So that started a whole new, it just really grew, I think, the interior side that maybe a lot of guys weren't paying attention to, and now that's part of their business model.
Yep.
So looking behind me, I see this really cool looking van. It's very eye-catching. So when you first started out, did you have a van like this? Because I've used personal cars. Like one time I had a 1966 Chevy milk truck, and that was a pretty cool street rob. It's also my detailing van. What was your first car when you started out mobile?
My first car, I had a pickup truck. I'd go to people's homes, had a pickup truck, just like you said in the beginning. A bucket, sponge, hose, I'm using their water. So I had to start somewhere, right? But I was still very picky back then, as I am now. But so I had a pickup truck. In the beginning, I started out a lot of car collections, little guys, a couple cars, 3, 4, 5 cars, and they had me take care of their vehicles. So I didn't have a fixed location at the time. I just started out the back of my truck, show up there, my polisher, everything I need, wash the car, pull it inside, and do it.
Keep it in like bins, sealed bins.
Oh yeah. No, so I'm an organized person, so everything was always organized. I had it all in plastic bins, microfibers covered up in the bins, and it was out the back of the truck, but if you open the back of my truck, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. One of the things I've had 3 fixed locations, and I always do mobile, but one of the things at some point in my life I notice is you'll get some customers that it doesn't matter if you got a shop, they're just not going to put their car on the road. You have to go to them. Maybe they don't want rock chips. Maybe I did a Ferrari Testarossa, 250 Testarossa. Yeah. I mean, the last one that sold was like $30 million. They don't want to drive that to the shop and have some Honda hit it. Now how are you going to fix that? So you have to be mobile for some clients.
Yes, of course.
And I actually remember one time my daily driver was a 1974 Datsun 260Z. And I mostly do paint correction, so it's a hatchback. You lift it up, you can throw your towels, a bucket, a polisher, extension cords, and it didn't take a van. I could do everything I needed out of a small hatchback sports car.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is great marketing because every time I see you drive around, my eyes just go to it. And I know a lot of people do too. Would you say that you get a lot of people that call you when they see your van? They're sitting at the light going, oh yeah, I wanted to get the car detailed, and they write your phone number down?
Yes, I definitely get a lot of calls on the road. Even before the van, I had my truck. Then I went to a trailer. Got my trailer, so I have a big lifted truck and a big trailer behind it. That was a rolling billboard itself. So definitely with the vans, trailers, huge marketing.
Yeah. How do you have just this van, or do you have more than one?
I have 2 vans, and I just sold my trailer, and we'll be replacing that with another van shortly.
Another van?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the thing about, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I never had a trailer. I always just had a rig. But as soon as you get a van now, sometimes you got to back into things. You got to haul it somewhere. You're always connected. Sometimes it could just get kind of tight depending on the residential area you're in.
Yes.
So
yeah. No, the van's the way to go. The trailer it's big, gets in the way sometimes. Unless you're doing big old commercial accounts and fleet vehicles and stuff like that.
Something I never want to do.
It's not that fun. It still pays, but it's not that fun.
Yeah, it's not that fun. Okay. Well, that's a great answer. And if you could, what does a wrap like this cost? Just give the audience like a general idea if they've never called and got an estimate.
I mean, the wrap prices are everywhere. You got guys, cheap prices trying to get some work, but let's say, something like this, I would say anywhere around $4,000 or so, depending on the artwork. If you're doing a full wrap, half wrap, really depends on the extent you're going.
How many years have you been getting out of a good wrap?
I mean, this one, we just rewrapped this about a year ago, a year and a half ago, but I'd say, to be honest, I haven't kept them long on my personal vans. Customers' vehicles, definitely, 2 years, 3 years, easy.
Sure.
As long as, everything, it's only as good as you take care of it.
Yeah.
If you wrap your vehicle and you just sit it outside, you never wash it, it just gets baked in the sun and beat up, it's not going to last.
In South Florida here, nothing lasts for long.
If you take care of it, it'll last.
Okay, so let's see. So you have an awesome shop. It's just right down the road from our shop.
Yes, sir.
What was it like getting into that shop? I mean, when we located this shop, because of COVID, there have been so many people moving out of other states to Florida, and not only did housing and rentals become less available, but commercial real estate is hard to find around here.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's very hard. So the shop that I have now, we didn't start there. We had, actually right around the corner here, we had a one-bay shop over off of Phillips there. So it was a one-bay, one-car shop. And it was actually my buddy's shop at the time. He was doing some audio work. That was before I had the mobile set up.
Is that the UPS driver?
Yes. Yep, that's him. Yes, sir. So
he's a good guy.
Oh, yeah, he's all right. He's all right. So before I had any of the mobile setups, any of the trailer, the van, anything like that, I really started, I wasn't the car wash guy or the detailer. I was more of paint correction. I was getting into polish, and I was big on the polisher. So I would rent that shop out from him per car. So I get a car coming in, he'd let me bring it in and do a correction, polish, or ceramic coat, whatever I had to do. I would, do per vehicle. And then it came to a time where, all right, I'm starting to use a lot of the shop now. So we split the shop.
Yeah.
It was a small shop, but you got to start somewhere. It got me going into the shop I'm in now. Now we got, definitely a bigger shop, a lot more upgraded, everything from the lighting, everything we have.
Yeah.
And we're still looking to grow, actually.
Yeah.
We're looking for a bigger one now.
And kind of one of the primary differences between being mobile and then having a fixed location or a brick and mortar store is every month you've got your monthlies.
Yes.
Lease, electric, internet, like here. Water, I think, is free here. Water is free for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we have a contract with a local water company to get DI water.
Oh, DI water.
Yeah, we fill up all our vans with spot-free DI water, and then,
So you have these fixed costs every single month.
Yes.
As a mobile detailer. So here's what that actually means when you apply it. If you're mobile, you can be kind of picky. Someone says, "Hey, you want to do this car?" You're like, "Nah, not really." But as soon as you get a fixed location, it's like, usually you'll take anything that calls.
Oh yeah.
Because you've got to do a certain amount of volume every single month just to pay. So if you're thinking about getting into a shop, that's one of the differences between being mobile and having a fixed location, is that as soon as you get fixed location, you've got to generate a certain amount of income every single month just to cover your basic costs.
Yeah, of course, it's that overhead.
You got to hustle, and then you start taking anything that calls. Hey, I've got a Chrysler Town and Country van. It really needs the interior done. Will you do it?
Oh yeah, bring it in.
Bring it
Goldfish and all.
Yeah. So that's just one of the differences you got to think about. Okay. What kind of volume do you do with the mobile business?
So we're still busy with mobile. Our mobile service actually is a little bit more right now than our in-shop services. We're about 60% mobile. So we have a lot of steady weekly, bi-weekly customers, contracts, stuff like that. So we're about 60% mobile.
Do you do a lot of maintenance washes for established customers?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you what you charge for that?
So our maintenance package just starts at $100.
$100.
Wash,
okay.
Vacuum, window, wipe down interior.
Yeah.
Details, brand
But
exterior.
a quality job.
Oh yeah, of course. Our regular wash is somebody who called it detail.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know that a lot of detailers, when they start out, besides doing the initial detail, a lot of customers, I always make the joke that all people know how to do nowadays is, push the button, start the car. They don't know anything. They don't know anything about the paint, tires, all that plastic trim. And they just don't want to do it if they can find someone that can do it for them. And the thing that has to take place to most cars most of the time is it has to get washed. You detail it once in a while, but it has to get washed a lot. And again, here in Florida, you can set your wristwatch, your clock, by how often it rains. At 3 o'clock every day it rains.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're driving on the road, then you get splatter all over everything. And there's always such a risk with taking your car to any kind of car wash. Some people say, well, I take my car to a hand wash. Well, with your hand wash, that's one thing, because you're going to inspect your wash mitts and everything's going to be in order. But when you go to a commercial, a retail car wash, you don't know if that wash mitt has been dropped on the ground 100 times, if the bucket's full of grime and dirt, and now they're washing your black Lexus. You get what you pay for in this world. So I've always told mobile or detailers getting into business that it's a real nice thing to offer your established customers to do a maintenance wash, because that way you can take care of your hard work. You can monitor if anything's going south on it. Maybe you picked up something off the road, a stain or something, and you can correct it and stay on top of it, versus when they're just on their own, you'll see them in another year and it needs a full detail again.
Oh yeah.
So being able to offer a maintenance wash, and then just the pricing. Like I've always told people, you need to be right around that $100. I've known some guys that charge $75, but maybe they're not at the level you're at. And I'm sure there's other guys out there that charge even more than that.
For sure.
For high-end luxury cars, show up at someone's shop, do all their cars at once.
Yes, sir.
So, but yeah, that's an important part of it. Okay, and so then, what's the level of work that you're doing in the shop? Now you do both PPF and you do window tinting too?
Yes. Yep.
So those are things you can add on to your business. So if maybe paint correction's slow, you got other things to bring income in.
Of course, yeah. So we pretty much do it all. I need from vinyl wraps, window tint, paint protection film, ceramic coatings, pretty much concourse details. Do a lot of big concourse shows. So we pretty much.
So a lot of car shows here in Florida.
Oh, there sure is.
Okay, so and just what's the volume like that? Like 1 car a week to 10 cars a week?
It's we're in a little bit of a slow season right now, but
Yeah.
when we're talking PPF, we could definitely do a few cars a week. 3, 4, 5 cars a week. But then we get to under a slow season, maybe 1 or 2.
What is the slow season?
I'm still, I guess, down here when it comes to the PPF. Not my quality, but my
volume.
name isn't up there really.
Yeah.
You know, with PPF, we just started that over the past couple of years.
There's a couple big names around here.
Yes.
And, you know, I get people that ask me all the time, hey, who can put a clear bra on my car? In the future, I'll start sending them to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's something like, we taught a 5-day class out in Chicago, Dr. Beasley's did. And one of the things on the 4th day, we went out to Car Warehouse Supplies. And I had my first chance to actually install PPF on the hood of a car. And I thought I was pretty good at it. I have no desire to do it. Now, I was horrible at window tinting.
Yeah. And to be honest, I'm not the professional. I got a professional window tinter
It's the back window. You got to be a contortionist, you know, to get in there.
I'm too big to get back there.
Oh, it's just tough. It's something no one ever thinks about. When the side windows is no big deal. It's that back window on a passenger car. Okay, so if you had to give some advice, then say someone's got an established detailing business or they're starting it, but they wanted to add window tinting or PPF. What would your best advice be? Like take a class from an established brand or you know, get some training, hire people that have already been trained. What would you tell them?
Of course, I would definitely start with a class. Okay. You know, you want if you never had your hands on film before, you definitely want to get your hands. You want to know what you need to do, what the quality job looks like, the right way to do things. If you have the time to be able to pick that up and do quality work and run with it, then that's great. If you're kind of, you know, slacking off on the time and don't have the time to perfect it, I would recommend, you know, looking to hire that perfectionist, that professional.
Someone that's their area of expertise.
Yes.
That's their passion.
Yes. Because not everybody's blessed to be able to do everything in the shop.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not. Yeah. I don't do everything in the shop, but I could have my hands on everything.
Yeah, it's good to find people that are specialized, and especially if it's their passion, they're going to care about what they're doing. So yeah, I was at another shop over in Jensen Beach, and while I was there, a gentleman brought in a brand new Denali black 4x4 truck. I don't know if it's a Denali, big brand new Chevrolet truck, High Sierra, I think, and wanted a full wrap on the whole front clip. And I watched this young guy come over and do it, and I looked at it and I stood back and go, man, that looks good.
Yeah.
And then the owner came and looked and goes, oh no, there's dust everywhere under this. You got to do it over. I feel so bad for that kid.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
And it's not fun to have to redo that.
Oh God. and if I was him, I says, oh, it's a work truck. I would have went with it.
Yeah.
But you know, you got picky customers.
Oh yeah, a lot of my customers come in there nitpicking everything.
Okay, so let's talk about social media. You know, back in the old days, you put an ad in the newspaper or the yellow pages, okay? Nowadays, we've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Those are probably the top 3, TikTok. How much time and energy do you put into social media as far as showing the work you've done or promoting, you know, your businesses that you offer, the services you offer?
So I slacked off a lot on social media over the past year.
It's time consuming.
Yeah, it took up too much of my time. I was busy with work, and it's hard because I have my hands in everything at work. So when it came to social media, unfortunately, I didn't put all my time and effort into it. I wish I would have, because maybe I would have been at that next level from where I'm at now. But just recently, I hired a marketing girl. So she takes care of my social media, my Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Frees you up to manage the business, and she does that. Again, someone that specializes.
Oh yeah.
And that's been worthwhile.
Yeah, that's been great. She comes in, she takes videos, pictures, all that professional stuff instead of me just breaking out my phone. Well, the phones nowadays are good, but you know, it wasn't working.
Oh no, you know, it's kind of funny. Like if you're an older person and computer breaks, the joke is we need to find a teenager.
Yeah.
Right. But there's definitely a learning curve to do things like using CapCut, you know, or just any of the software that's available for your phone to take your mundane video and then spice it up to make it eye-catching so people actually watch it.
Of course.
You know, and then they take action from it.
Yeah, that editing, it takes time. You got to know what you're doing.
Okay, now I was up on your website, and it's really nice.
Thank you.
It's laid out nice. If you're a customer and you're looking for a PPF for tinting or detailing or whatever you want, it's pretty easy to navigate, kind of figure out what you want, hone in, and then contact them and take care of that. But I'm just going to take a guess here that is not your first website.
It is my first website.
It is.
It is. It is.
Has it gone through any kind of evolution?
It has not. I probably
look at that. He's gleaming now.
It probably needs it though. But thank you. I appreciate it. But that is my first website.
Yeah. Then the reason I'm asking this is because, you know, if you go up into the Facebook groups, you know, I see the young guy, the new guy. And I don't want to say young, because I got a lot of people that take my classes that are retiring from their career job and they want to start detailing. They're old guys. But you see this question: do I need a website?
Yes.
How should I get a website? How much should I pay? Where should I go to have it built? And so the real key is for you is you got lucky and found someone that could actually do what they said they could do, build you a quality website.
Yep. No, I got lucky with that. And actually, it took me a while to get a website up. I was slacking. It was my first time owning a business, running it, starting it, growing it. So I just got my website 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Once again, I wish I would have done it earlier.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn.
Yeah. In context, that's not very long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always remember in the early days of the internet. So back in the 90s, the internet popped up around, 91, 92. I remember surfing the web when I worked at a place called Hewlett Packard, and the only websites were up were either college kids or military. I mean, there wasn't no bestbuy.com, and none of that stuff existed. So, but in context, 3 years, that's fairly new, because the internet has been around for about 30 years now.
Yeah.
So I think I saw a statistic one time that said in 1996, AOL only had 500,000 customers, which is nothing, and it's the virgin era of the internet. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. So let me preface this with my experience to moving from Southern California to Florida. So the first time I detailed a car, I was out in a parking lot just like this. I started at 8:30 in the morning, and by 9 a.m., I was 100% drenched in sweat. I never experienced so much humidity in my life. So how do you deal and overcome with that? You guys stay hydrated, obviously.
Yeah.
Wear protective sunscreen or hats, neck colors.
Yeah, we definitely wear hats. We got our big, big hats covering the sun. Water is major. Definitely have to stay hydrated. It's tough. It's one of those things. Either you could do it or you can't do it. People don't understand. Oh, you're just washing cars. Well, it's hot out there. It's humid.
And that drains your energy.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, I slow up. I could wash X amount of cars in the wintertime, and then come to summertime, maybe I'm taking 3 cars off that list.
Yeah.
Just because we slow down. There's nothing you could do about it. I slow down. My cars slow down, and I expect that. It's hot out there. We're dying.
It's hot. And for those that might be geographically challenged, a winter here in Florida is like 80 degrees. That's cool.
Yeah. Humidity drops.
With 80 degrees with 80% humidity, and that's a cool day.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
So when he talks about it in the summer when it's hot, you're 100-degree temperatures, 90% humidity,
and then rain.
Oh, in the rain.
And then after it rains.
In Oregon, we call that liquid sunshine.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question. So you started out by yourself, but now you've got partners or employees?
Yes.
So both which?
Yeah, employees.
Employees.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know from just from my being in the industry a long time that most detailers start out as a sole proprietorship or a LCC, LLC, and then there's that step to go from you doing all the work to bringing on an employee, and it's a huge step. It's like a whole different side of the business that now you got to be involved with. So can you share anything about how you managed that?
It was hard, and it still is hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hiring employees and the right people to do the job is always going to be a challenging part of owning any business, especially in the detailing industry. So I actually, surprisingly, I hired one of my good friends I grew up with. I know that's a no-no. A lot of people don't do that, but we were just in conversation back and forth, and we sat down and it's like, all right, well, this is what we're going to do. Business, friendship. Besides that, he's been great. Everything's been good.
He's watching this video then.
Oh, I'm sure he is. He's in there. He stopped working and he's watching this. So. But it's been great. I got lucky with that part. But it's a big jump. It's a big jump to be able to hire somebody. So now it's another expense you're adding on, onto your, weekly, monthly,
workman's comp,
basis. Workman's comp, just
taxes,
the liability, taxes, the commercial insurance, all this stuff in advance. It's a huge, to do it the right way.
Yeah.
To do it the right way, legit way. It's a big step to hire just one person.
And then
let alone 3 or 4.
You got to keep them busy.
Oh yeah, of course. And then, if we slow down, we've had times where we slow down.
Yeah.
And guess what? I don't send my guys home. Like it was my job. I hired them.
Yep.
I got to keep them with a check.
I know that's usually the biggest hurdle for most people is to go from that one-person shop to having employees. It's a huge hurdle. It takes help. Luckily, there are a lot of Facebook groups out there that if you need help, you can ask a question. And you always have the bullies, the cyber. You always have the guys that just are jerks. But you always have the guys that are really nice.
Yes.
They'll help you. They don't expect anything in return. They'll just tell you how to do it, give you a link or a phone number, and here's what you need to do.
Yeah, I've had that growing through the business,
Yeah.
people ask.
So I talk to a lot of people, like not even in the car industry, but when it comes time right now, it's like it's so hard to find good help. People with a strong work ethic, they'll show up on time, they'll continue to show up.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really challenging. And so when you do get a good person, you want to retain them.
Yes.
You know, because just the cost of losing them and retraining somebody and bringing them on costs a lot more than, say, just, you know, whatever it takes to keep them there.
Yeah.
A good raise, a bonus, a pat on the back.
Of course.
You know,
it costs a lot to hire somebody else, not just the initial, not your weekly check, to training.
Training.
You know, you invest a lot into that one person.
Okay, so let's see, and keep along this business thing, and then we're going to kind of open this. We're going to take a look at your van,
Okay, perfect.
because it's really well laid out.
Yeah, thank you.
And but then we'll open up questions. But just real short answers. When it comes to the business side, what would you tell people about the bookkeeping, taxes, billing, invoices, payroll? Do you find other sources to manage this for you, basically?
I do. Yes,
okay.
I do. That's the best thing for me.
I kind of knew that ahead of time, but I wanted you to share that with everyone.
Yes, no, I do. I can't do it all, and there's no way I'm, you know, knowledgeable in all that sense. So if you find somebody good, I'll definitely, you know, stick with them around with it.
So that's something you just want to outsource. You know, you can't wear every hat. You can't do it, and then focus on what you're good at.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, Deancy, you want to go mobile? Let's take a look at the van.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. All right.
Okay, so first of all, this is what they call barn doors. It kind of opens up
Yes,
to
sir.
the sides. And what's nice about this is, you know, if you're able to pull right up into a driveway, or if you're on the road, you know, everything's accessible either through the side door or the back door. So let's just go ahead and let's wait for Yancey so he can. This is the big moment.
There you go.
Dun, dun, dun. No confetti bombs?
What's that?
No confetti bombs when you open
Oh
it?
yeah, no confetti bomb. Sorry.
So these doors, they'll open up all the way,
Okay.
just like this. We got everything we need here. We got all the bottle holders, the brushes we need. We're running a Kranzel pressure washer. It's an electric pressure washer, about 1,500 PSI. We don't need much more than that, you know, for the vehicles we're doing.
Unless you're trying to clean someone's four-wheel drive like Yancey's.
Yeah.
They're not mud bogging.
So we got the generator on a slide out. That basically is a lot more easier to access.
Honda quality.
It's amazing.
It's quiet.
amazing. It's
won't
quiet.
let you down.
Reliable. I had my old van. I had it in there for quite some time and never had any issues with it. So right in here we got our microfibers. So we keep them out of the elements, you know, out of the sand, dirt, dust. So we're putting it on your vehicles. We're not scratching it.
This looks like New Age.
Yes, it is.
That's what we got over here.
Oh, yeah.
Really, if you need cabinetry, man, New Age.
New Age is amazing.
It is amazing.
I had them in my trailer. I have them in both vans.
It's a great way to go.
Yeah, no, they're great. But I guess it just keeps all the microfibers out of elements. And once again, I'm picky. Everything's color coordinated.
Yeah.
You know, each microfiber has a job.
So your black, what's your black for?
My black is
Tire
this.
dressings? Or
This is like the dirty jobs. Yeah.
Dirty jobs, yeah.
Dirty jobs,
Yep.
any kind of wheels,
Yep.
cleaning like that. This is more in the paint, you know. So if we're doing a quick detail spray, something like that, we'll do that.
And what's nice about a light color is you always want to inspect the towel, and you can see
it.
contaminants on the shoulder. Rub it over the paint.
Exactly. So
Or
if you
your
had this black
employees,
one for a paint, it wouldn't work out that way, you know?
Yeah.
You can see everything on this. We got our window rags here. Window
glass
rags.
tiles.
Yep. And then we got interior. We're using
Yep.
this for interior.
Yep.
And then we got some plush ones down here for some of those soft, real soft, you know, clear coats. And
Yeah.
so
Those are the worst, aren't they?
I hate them. They drive me nuts.
You know, I don't.
You can never win.
In the last year, I've had to deal with two cars that had. The way I would describe it is paint. It is so soft. If you look at it the wrong way, it'll scratch.
Yes.
It's that soft.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them is the '69 GTO sitting on the side of the building. And the owner came to me and says it needs to be polished again because he took it to a shop and the same thing has happened the third time. It's in the shop, and then the shop technicians, whatever they're working on, the carburetor, the axles, the brakes, they do him a favor and wipe it down with probably one of those red shop rags.
Yeah, right.
And it's soft paint. It scratches the heck out of it.
Yeah, they're horrible. There's quite a few people.
So it helps to have like the really soft plush towels for that. Okay, let's take a look around the other side then.
Yes, sir.
Let's just push in. We got a safety latch.
Yes, sir.
You know, when I did a lot of my mobile detailing, for me, it was always just expected I would have access to their electricity and their water. But usually it'd be stuff like, you know, it's not a mundane daily driver.
Yeah.
So it's more high-end customer, high-end house.
Yeah, of course.
And of course
Like the other side.
what's
Yeah,
that?
we'll come around this way.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah. But I know that a lot of people, you know, the expectation is to say you need to be fully
Yeah, you need to have everything. Yeah. So we got our water in here. So a little messy. We've been pretty busy. So we got a 100-gallon water tank back there. That's where we keep all our water, spot-free DI water. We also have a little DI set up here, just in case for some reason, if we're had a busy day, we ran a little low at your house, hey, can we borrow some water from you? We'll do so. We'll filter it right here into our tank.
Sure.
Got our bucket rack. You know, we got our wheel bucket, rinse bucket, and soap and water bucket.
Yeah. Got to be organized and have them labeled so you don't mix them up. Because once you get suds in there, you don't know which one's which without the label.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
So we got all that going on. Cooler, water, got to stay hydrated.
You also got the, what do you call this, a headache rack?
Yeah.
Or the suicide rack?
Oh, yeah, partition wall.
Partition wall, there's the right name. And all that's for is this, like, if you ever get that brake check, you don't want everything flying up and hitting the back of your head. Probably the most important part on the van, huh?
Oh, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. It keeps some of the chemical smells out, too. It keeps the AC in the cab, and it works amazing.
I like this. I don't see this in a lot of guys' rigs, but just having some of these to set these out just so people slow down. I mean, so many people when they're driving, they're on their phone.
Oh, they come flying by.
And then you get hit, you know, just because they're not paying attention. The graphics are amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very eye-catching, and that's kind of what you want.
Yes, sir.